Hello there, I'm Artistic Gamer 7 and welcome here to my channel. I'm back in my PJs because I'm literally recording this right after the PAX wishes for 2022. If you haven't seen that video, there should be a link down in the description below, but I talk about game packs, stuff packs, and expansion packs that I would like to see something similar to what I describe come to the game in 2022. Obviously, we have no idea how many stuff packs or game packs or expansion packs we're going to be getting, so I just did 3 of each just to give a general thought process out there. So definitely go check that out. Give me your thoughts and ideas below. Let me know of any pack ideas that you have that I didn't mention that you would like to see for 2022. Definitely would like to hear it. But in this one, we are going to be talking about refreshes and kits, and then just a few random general things. But probably not too much on that, mainly the refreshes, to be honest with you. So yeah, hope you're looking forward to the video. If you end up liking it, definitely make sure you hit that lovely like button. But for now, let's continue on in the PJs, because, it's technically still December when I'm recording this, and I have had stressful December. So yeah, I wanted to be comfy for these videos. So I am going to start with the kits. Because with the kits, here's the thing with the kits. I'm okay with the kits. I'm okay with them existing. I partially do not feel like they need to be the price that they are, but I'm okay with them being a thing. I own 3 of them. I'm considering getting like 2 other ones. Not sure. Still on the fence. Debating. But, whatever. I will say I tend to like the build and buy related kits way more than the ones that are considered the animation, which we've only gotten like 1 of those, and the Create a Sim, because I download a lot of CC for Create a Sim, so it really doesn't matter to me too much. But I am eventually planning on doing a series where I take out all my alpha CC and it's only Maxis match CC and Maxis stuff. So maybe those will be things I will look into later, but as of right now, I think literally the 3 I own are all build and buy, and one of them I'm considering is build and buy. I'm actually considering getting one of them that is Create a Sim, and part of me at one time wanted Bust the Dust, but now I don't know if I care to have it. So yeah. Anyway, so this is a general thought on kits. I didn't go and think of things that I would want for kits. Kits are so small, and kits are like, again, like, I don't necessarily have a problem with them, but I'm not necessarily crazy about them either. So when it comes to kits, my overall feeling when it comes to kits is kits should almost, them being so small, and yeah, I do think they are a little bit more expensive than they should be compared to what you're getting into the packs, but again, they are the cheapest out of all the pack options sort of situation. So to me, they should be the one thing that potentially expands upon another pack, or just expands onto an element of base game. So like if there's a certain design style, like build and buy design style in base game that has a few things, but it is lacking, make a kit for it. If you want to add more things that fit with like island living stuff, make a kit for it, but also make that stuff sort of make sense with some of the other things, so people that don't have island living can still get use out of it. But granted, it's a small kit, so you don't have to buy it if you don't want it. But those who have island living can have a few more options to design their houses differently, or dress their Sims differently. So that's sort of how I feel with the kits. Bust the Dust, even though it's one that I'm on the fence about, in some ways it exactly goes with that, and that's part of the reason why I really liked it at first, because it basically can go with laundry day stuff, which it's just adding on to sort of the whole chore of like cleaning and keeping the house clean and keeping things neat and like tidy and stuff like that. It had that sort of feel to it to me. It felt like technically it would complement laundry day stuff very well, and that's how I feel like the kits should be. They should be complementing a pack that already exists, or complementing a part of the base game that is lacking. So I don't think they should necessarily focus on cultures per se. I know that in some ways that's some of the heat that kits is getting, because they do seem to be picking or at least they were. I think one of the packs technically was was it K-pop or J-pop style clothing. I know technically it's one of them. I got it. Was it the Modern Oasis, or was it Oasis something? I do really love those items, but I will say in some ways it is sort of sad that some of these people who play Sims from other places that are not primarily like the USA or Europe or like something like that, sort of sad that they can't get as one of the bigger packs that gives them more options for their area. So I get why some people don't like the kits doing that. Again, I don't own most of the kits. I own 3. And one of them's the industrial one. I think that one has no problems. There was already sort of industrial stuff in the game, and I feel like a few different packs added that. It expanded upon it. Did that. I do really like the Modern Oasis, but I get the problem there. And I forgot what the other one, the country stuff, which sort of added to Cottage Living, even though Cottage Living came out after the country one. But they complemented each other. Some people said that it was probably like Cottage Living, like rejects or whatever. Oh well, it still fits with Cottage Living. It's still expanding upon another pack. So that is sort of my feel with kits. There's not one particular thing that I would want, but I think kits should focus more on complementing other packs, but still making it in a way that if you don't own that pack, you could still use that kit if you want to. But obviously, I think a lot of people even the people who are trying to collect, in a way, all the packs, they almost ignore the kits. So, and they don't even put the kits in with the packs. They're like on a separate page, they're on a separate thing. So, that argument's valid if you're trying to collect all the packs. A lot of people aren't considering the kits as part of them, so I don't think it's that big of a deal if you don't get them. So yeah. Anyway, so that's all I have to say about kits. I don't really have any particular wants for them, or like wishes for them. I just, if they're still going to be continuing to make kits, which definitely seems like it is, because kits seem to be the big thing that's coming out right now, I want them to complement the others that have already come out, the other packs. So, now on to the refreshes. I did at first only pick 3 refreshes to go along with my 3 when I was doing, like, the wanted or wished for pack ideas. But since I decided to separate them into a new video, I added 2 more, because part of me was tied on one of them adding it, but then I chose one over the other, and then I was like, I don't really know if I want to add that one over the... So now I have 5. And it's 3 game packs and 2 expansion packs. So I'll get to the game packs first. Going back to what I think's the oldest one. Wait, I actually have Sims up in the background and it's on the screen that I could see. So, yeah. The oldest one that I have on the refresh thing, which I've seen a lot of people asking, so I feel like it is one of the more higher or more likely ones to get a refresh. We've only seen one get a refresh, which is Spa Day. I get why Spa Day got a refresh. A lot of people were sort of wanting nails and, like, nail polish and things like that. So I get that fits with Spa Day. I get why Spa Day got the refresh. But I feel I was at the same time surprised because I never really had any complaints about Spa Day myself. And I feel like ones that need refreshes are the ones that get a little bit more complaints about them. But yeah, anyway. So my first refresh out of the game packs would be Dine Out. So with Dine Out, I would like for there to be like some more options, maybe even an option to specifically specify like different categories of restaurants. So I'm slowly trying to build a save file sort of in a way of at least build like different builds, and as far as Sims go, I'm either going to try to make my own Sims to go into that save and eventually make that save live. I don't know if I'm going to actually get it done fast enough because, you know, more worlds keep coming out faster than I'm building, but that's another story for another day. But yeah, I've actually tried to make a few different restaurants. One that I made in Oasis Springs, because Oasis Springs is always hot. It's always more of the warmer temperatures, so I figured an ice cream place would sort of be nice. So I made the menu mostly things of yogurts and ice creams and stuff like that. And I forgot, what did I call it? Something Creamery. What was the name of that build? don't remember, but I called it something creamery. Actually, you can't see this right now because my webcam is over top of it, but I'm actually going to try to look up the name real quick. But I also had one in, just to continue on the conversation while this loads, because for some reason the gallery is like, but yeah, I had one in Brindleton Bay that was more seafood based, but yeah, like having something like that, and maybe even including like fast food options, like fast food type restaurant things, that would be interesting and like cool, like something that you can have. Or like, I guess because of the drive-through thing is partially the reason why they probably wouldn't want to do it, because cars technically do not exist, not at least for your Sims to use, but you easily could make it like, if you don't want to include, like, add cars as a base game thing, or just not add them at all, you can easily just make it like the cars on the roads, like they're driving through, but you know, your Sims aren't doing it. But like, you can even maybe do a rabbit hole event that your Sims can go through a drive-through to pick up food. So like, and then they leave and they come back and they bring food to the house or whatever. But you know, just giving maybe options to click for different restaurants, like a seafood restaurant, or maybe it's like an ice cream place, or you know, something like those options. Because like I said, I had a few of those different things. I am struggling to get to the thing. Sweet Tooth Creamery is what I called it. And then I had the Sailor's Grub Shack, which was like my seafood place. And I had one called the Willow Tree Bar and Grill, which was more of a country style setting, but it was supposed to be, it had a bar in it, so it had like more like country foods, but also like bar foods and things like that. And then I have Gourmet Roses, which is more upscale, more for celebrities and higher up people, so it has like some fancier options on it. If you want to download any of those, they're on my gallery, Artistic Gamer 7. I figure I say it just in case someone asks. But yeah, I built these, and they're all technically different style restaurants, and I expect different people to go to them. So yeah, and I know I've seen several builders do that as well, so that would be something I think would be nice. But also, Down Out is glitchy. It is so glitchy. It takes forever for your Sims to get their food, and I hate that there's only, like, one hostess. I have a mod that allows me to have 2 hostesses, but that only affects the place if you own it. So, like, Gourmet Roses, I have my Flareon Sim actually owns that restaurant. So when I'm playing Flareon and I go to the restaurant, I can get 2 hostesses. I can have 2 hostesses seating Sims down at the table. But if I visit Gourmet Roses as someone other than Flareon, and I'm actually there to sit down at the restaurant with those Sims and eat, there's only one hostess. So it causes like a backlog of Sims at the front door trying to get seated. And I feel like I get why maybe while you're there, there's only 3 waiters or whatever, and it seems like when you're the restaurant owner, things go slightly smoother. But as far as visiting it, I feel like maybe they should allow there to be more, like, waiters to get the food out quicker and make sure Sims are eating them faster. I also wish it was a thing that when you got invited to a restaurant that you didn't have to pay the bill, because you were not the one who planned it, or at least an option to split the bill. Like, maybe a little dialogue pops up, and it's like, the person who invited you is asking you if you would like to split the bill, or, you know, how would you like to play? The person who invited you, you decide to pay it for it all or split it. Like, something like that, because I think it's not fair that every single time that you get invited, you have to be the one who pays when it wasn't your idea. Or at least pay for, like, only your food, and not also their food. You get what I'm saying? Like, that is something I wish was an option. So, I really want Dine Out to have a refresh, mainly because of the glitches and the waiting time, but I would also love, like, different styles of restaurants, and, like, obviously there's lot traits, so you can sort of get more of that vibe that you're going for, but at the same time, not. It would just be nice for that pack to get a refresh. So the next one on the list of game packs would be Parenthood. So I'm gonna go back to my video that I just did of packs that I would like to see, I did mention a whole generation thing. I was like, I'm pretty sure Parenthood was supposed to be the one who did that, but I don't think it did it to its fullest and did it to the extent I would have liked it to. If we don't get a pack that also adds a lot more things for the other generations to do and gives more things for kids and toddlers, teens, and elders to do that are separate from adults, then I would like maybe Parenthood to at least get a refresh. And even so, I would perfectly be okay with it getting a refresh, but then also getting like a Generations pack that gives stuff for the other generations. If both of those things happen, it'd be great. Because here's the thing, with Parenthood, there's some things that I don't feel like have a hefty side effect, a hefty outcome to them, like the curfew thing. So your teens can break curfew, but it doesn't seem like there is much potential, punishment. Like, I think your Sims can fuss at them, but I don't think they autonomously do it, or at least I haven't noticed my Sims autonomously doing it when teenagers and even kids go out past the set curfew. I actually partially forgot that the curfew thing existed until earlier today, actually. I was playing it, and it was a household that I hadn't played in a really long time, and I had a teenager temporarily leave, and I forgot at this household they were very strict about the curfew, and they set it to the highest, like one of the higher settings you could set it to for time. I don't even remember what the times are. I at least know that there was at least 3 different times, so it's definitely at least the earliest time. In that case, I can't remember though. It's like, I think around 7, 8 o'clock maybe, ish. But yeah, so they went out past that time, and everything I clicked on said breaks curfew. But in reality, once they went back home, nothing happened. Nothing at all. And you can't restrict, at least not from what I remember, you can't like restrict access to the phone, you can't restrict access to like computers or video game systems or anything like that, or make them do extra chores. Like some sort of punishment. Make it a little bit more heftier. I want it to be more affected. I feel like it had good intentions. It just was afraid to go all the way. It was afraid that it was getting too close to the line, when in reality it was very far from the line. It was afraid of going over the line, but it was nowhere near. Just needed to push it a little bit more. And it didn't do it. So yeah, I wouldn't mind Parenthood to get a refresh if they could fix stuff like that. And add a few more things here and there. Like, I feel like Parenthood, I forget about the actions that come with Parenthood. When it comes to the build and buy, I know it's there. But when it comes to the actions and the things that Parenthood does to gameplay, the gameplay side of it, don't really pay attention to it much. I do constantly put that board up that comes with Parenthood that allows you to set the curfew. They also post little notes on it and stuff like that. I constantly put that in my houses. I rarely actually click on it. Because one, it doesn't do much. Like, the little notes and stuff are sort of cute, but in the end, half of the time it doesn't do anything. The curfew doesn't really do anything, so I don't even pay attention to setting it half of the time anymore. Like I said, this was an older family. This was a family that I played closer to, or that I made closer to the release of Parenthood. So it was still more fresh in my brain, but now it's just sort of faded into the background. I use Dine Out, and I recognize Dine Out elements way more than I do Parenthood. I admit Dine Out's a lot more glitchier, but at the same time I use it more. So yeah, if Parenthood just had a little refresh, to maybe add a few more things to distinguish teens and kids and toddlers, and like more stuff that was a little bit more heftier punishment for doing things that you wasn't supposed to do. Maybe you can actually set certain chores, like use that board to set chores. Like if you have 3 kids in the household, you set 1 kid is in charge of washing the dishes, 1 kid is in charge of taking out the trash, 1 kid is in charge of setting the table or something. Like, whatever it may be, like, give some of those options. Like, give more to that board, give more structure to, like, how things are for that. So yeah, but anyway. And the last of the game packs that I would like refreshed, and one of the slightly more newer ones, and one that I do really like, but was partially disappointed in, partially because it has to do with an element that I really love in the game that some people are mad about. And I think that's part of the reason why it didn't get as good as I wanted it to be. But anyway, that would be Realm of Magic. So I love Realm of Magic, don't get me wrong. I love Glimmerbrook. I will say I wish there was more lots in Glimmerbrook, but I still love Glimmerbrook. I love a lot of the build and buy items that come with Realm of Magic. Personally, I think they fit for the theme of Glimmerbrook and Realm of Magic and, like, magical stuff. But I also feel like they can be used in regular houses that didn't really have much to do about magic at all. So I love them. And the world of Realm of Magic that you go to, where the world is all falling apart and all crazy and stuff, it is beautiful. And there is quite a bit to do, but at the same time, spellcasters. They felt like they were lacking, sorta. I feel like there could have been more spells to be added to them, so that's what I would really like to see affected. I would like a refresh to give, like, more spells, maybe to give more distinction between the different types of spellcasters. Obviously, there's practical, there's untamed, what was the third one? Mischief! So, I feel like there should be more distinction with them, and maybe if they add more spells to each one. And then there's also the potion person, technically. But yeah, I feel like there should be more potions, there should be more spells. I feel like maybe if you focus so much of your time into one branch, maybe the other branches get cut off in a certain way. So, like, if they add a few more spells to each branch, maybe you get too far away. I also feel like they're almost too buddy when it comes to all three of the different types of magics. I don't know. I feel like there should be a distinction when it comes to these different types of magics, because when it comes to a lot of stories with witches and things like that, there's usually different covens, and different covens have different rule sets, and like when you see them in books and movies and things like that anyway. So there's usually different covens, they come from different backgrounds, they have differences in between what type of magic they like to use, how far they're willing to go, and, you know, some of them push the boundaries that others are not comfortable with, so the other ones don't like necessarily being around them. So maybe making those three be slightly different, even if you, because obviously it would be a lot to separate the three different sages for the magical realm from each other. Like, they all sort of need to be in that building so that you can get to them. And they do seem to stay in different parts of the building for the most part. But there's easily a way that maybe you can make it to where it seems like, in my head, this is how I would do it anyway, like storytelling-wise. They understand that if they don't have all three of the powers, like, working there, that the world will just completely fall apart, and they understand that, and they also understand that this is where new people come to learn their magic, so if they want to spread their own type of magic, they sort of need to be there, but they don't really get in close proximity of each other, and they don't necessarily like each other because they're different types of magics. Like, I could definitely feel like the mischief magic being separated from the other two, definitely. Especially practical, because I feel like practical is, like, the nice one of the group. I feel like untamed is, I can't remember what spells they are. Is untamed actually the more dangerous one? I can't remember. But either way, practical is the goody good one. That to me just seems like the goody good. That's the goody good witches. And then one of the other ones is like the in-between. Maybe untamed is the more deadlier one. See, there should be a bigger distinction. Also, I just haven't played it fully enough also, probably. But anyway. So yeah, but just making it more of a thing, and like eventually maybe if you practice one certain magic enough, maybe you get like a little trait or something that pops up that you're part of that group. Maybe they don't want to call them covens, because maybe, for some reason they didn't want to call them witches, or wizards even, so make your own word up for it, I guess you can, but we'll just go with a coven. So, like, the Coven of Untamed Magic or whatever. So, like, from there on, you can't use most of the other spells, but you come really good at your specific spells. So, like, if you become part of the Coven of the Mischief like, side, you may still know a few practical and untamed, but maybe those ones deplete your, like, what is it called? What is it called? The little orb that's on the thing, that's like your magical essence or whatever. Maybe it depletes faster if you try to use one of those other ones, versus it barely depletes at all, or it doesn't deplete nearly as fast if you use mischief magic, because you're part of that coven, that group. So, stuff like that. Just refreshing it, revamping it, giving some more spells and potions, and having a little bit more fun with it. A little spice to it. Spice. Anyway, on to the next. So, we're now on to the expansion packs. I don't know. Obviously, we've only seen one refresh, and it was a game pack. So, who knows if the expansion packs will ever get refreshes. I don't know why they wouldn't. I think it would be silly to give the stuff packs refreshes, because they are so small, but if you're going to give the game packs refreshes, why can't the expansion packs get refreshes? But anyway, I'm going back to the very beginning when it comes to this one. And that is get to work. For one strong element. Because one, I know a few people have glitchy parts when it comes to certain parts of the careers that they follow along with on those. So glitches always need to try to be fixed. And I feel like certain glitches, like base game glitches, are probably going to get more looked at than expansion pack glitches, because everyone who plays The Sims has the base game. Makes sense. Not everyone who plays The Sims has these expansion packs. It does make sense, but yeah. I feel like the glitches that come with the expansion packs get looked over a little bit more, as long as they're not, like, game-breaking. So yeah, I do know some people sometimes have harder parts with certain careers. Luckily for me, for the most part, usually my careers are not too broken. I love going to work, especially the scientist career, which, for some reason, when I watch YouTubers, seems to be the one that they least go to, which I don't know why. I have a lot of fun at the scientist one. Anyway, but yeah, the reason why I would like it to be refreshed is partially because of those glitches to help with those other people and stuff like that. But the two big elements that I want refreshed is aliens and the retail owning a business situation. So I feel like the aliens don't get much to them as I wish they were, and I hate that most Sims generally get disgusted by aliens. You have those few, they tend to always be scientists, or the nerdy types, that don't, but, and I get it in some ways, I feel like in real life, that probably is the situation, but, like, some of them actually get furious when they find out people are aliens. Like, if you're gonna get that angry, do something about it. Don't just huff around in the background. But yeah, I just wish there was more options for aliens. I hate that, like, when it comes to some of the clothing and stuff like that, I think at one point you couldn't even put hair on them, if I remember correctly. Or at least they tried to do that. I don't remember what it was. But I noticed even when it comes to Create a Sim, when it comes to a lot of my earlier CC stuff, it doesn't work on the aliens. And even some of the newer stuff, I think you have to do something to make sure that it works for the aliens as well. Which is sort of frustrating, because if an alien comes to Earth, even if they're not in their disguise, but they're walking around, you think they would still want to try to fit in. Even if they're not wearing their disguise, they don't necessarily want to be wearing their alien suit. And I wish that if you were going to go that direction, I wish there was more options. There's just the one alien suit in, like, 3 colors. Give me more space wear if you're going to do that. Give me more stuff that looks futuristic. Not all of my alien Sims are going to dress in that same alien outfit. I slightly pretend that some of my alien Sims come from a totally different planet than some of the other ones. So obviously, they wouldn't dress the same thing. But yeah, so the aliens, I would like a refresh, and then the retail thing. So the retail thing I do not use at all. I wish there was more options for it. I wish you can have your, like, own your own business on your lot. I love that for, which one was it? The Sims 2 or 3? Maybe both of them? But it was one of them. I want to say Sims 2, though. Did Sims 3 have a version 2? Anyway, you can own your own business on your lot. So you can build a separate building on the lot where your house was and own a business there. But also, I feel like when you're doing the retail, there is not many options of different types of retail. Like, you have to really try to make it different things. So, yeah. I just want more options for that. I also would like there to become an option for, the retail, because there is the retail as the part-time, but me as a retail management, and just being in retail as long as I have been, there are full-time positions in retail. And retail isn't necessarily an easy job like everyone seems to think it is, because everyone wants to treat retail employees and food service people like absolute poo, because they think they are lesser than them for some reason just because they work in retail. For some people, that is their long-term job, and they still make a decent amount of money off of it. Especially when you get into full-time management. So, it is not an easy job. It is not a job that just a teen or a college student tends to stick with. If you're in college, be in retail, whatever. But some people become full-time retail employees, so I would like that to become an option. I feel like Get to Work, since they have the retail element to where you can own a business, but then it also is basically about jobs, is a perfect one to add the full-time employment position. I think technically one of the promotions you can get in the retail career, it's still part-time, but I think there is one that says management. And yes, there is actually part-time management positions. I have been in them before. They obviously don't make as much money and you don't get the benefits, but there are part-time management positions out there, so that can stay there. That doesn't have to be a thing that has to be gotten rid of just because there is a full-time management position. But there are full-time sales associates and full-time management positions within retail. There is also other parts of retail that have full-time positions. So I would like that to be a thing actually added with Get to Work. So that could be part of its refresh, is to rework the retail system and have more of a separation of different types of shops, and, maybe even allow for there to be multiple businesses in one building. So something similar structured in a mall, and maybe different rooms could be set up almost like how they do the apartments, and you can buy a certain section of that building to be your place of business, but not the rest of it. And when you're visiting there as like a sim that doesn't own them, you can get access to all four of them, and it'd be more like a mall experience in a way. So I think that would be a nice refresh. The full-time employee and a fix with the aliens. That pack would be great, because honestly, I still love the careers. I think the one that's been the most glitchy with me ever has been the hospital one. More so when I'm visiting the hospital with my female sims who are having a baby. So, yeah. But just those few little glitches. The aliens tweaked a bit, and a lot added for retail would be nice for that pack, and that pack would be great. And I would definitely recommend that pack with that stuff added. I still technically would recommend it. I love the careers enough. And technically this was the first time in Sims 4 that we got to go to the active careers. Obviously now there is the actor-actress thing with Get Famous, and then also with the Dream Home Decorator, you follow them to work, technically. Obviously, there's not one single place you go to, but that's still, and the paranormal investigation as well. So there is a few different careers that you actually follow them to work now. But this was the first introduction to them, and it added 3 of them versus just 1. So I really, really liked that pack, and I definitely would recommend getting it if you didn't have it. But I would recommend it even more if it had this refresh done to it. And the last refresh that we will be talking about is a pack that comes quite a bit later on when it comes to expansion packs from Get to Work, and that is Island Living. Don't get me wrong, I love Island Living. And there's one of the YouTubers I watch that she absolutely loves Island Living, which is Claire Siobhan. She loves it. She mainly loves it for Sulani, which that is its big appeal. The world of Sulani is absolutely beautiful. I do like cleaning it up. In some ways, I feel like it happens way too fast. I get technically, and when it comes to the world of Sims, that you can imagine, like, one day to them is, like, maybe a whole month, technically equivalent, so I get why it moves fast, but at the same time, even for Sim standards, sometimes it seems like it goes really fast. I played this one household in Sulani that hadn't been cleaned up yet, and it was the first time I was playing it, and the teenage son got Sulani almost fully cleaned up in a day, it seemed. Like, it was so close to being fully cleaned. Like, it was a little ridiculous, but I was just having fun, and, like, his mood was outstanding at that moment, so I was like, great moment to go around cleaning up the ocean and the beach. He did a really good job, apparently. Because I got a notification, like, that day that it was, like, cleaned up, and I still had stuff to clean, and yeah. So, yeah. Because there's, like, 3 stages of clean, I think, is what it was, but, yeah. Anyway. So, yeah. But I still felt like this pack was lacking when it came to a few other things. The creative sim was pretty decent. I actually liked it quite a bit. I do like that it had, like, its own unique style. You could sort of tell the islanders were different, but I would liked a few different options that were, like, someone who came to live on the island took a bit of the culture and added it with what they were used to. So, where that could sort of go to other places, but still have a Sulani vibe to it. I also... Sometimes the tanning thing doesn't work properly for me. I also would have liked even potential more exploration when it came to the oceans. I know a lot of people are sad that you couldn't actually see the oceans, because I didn't have this pack for Sims 3, but the Sims 3 pack... Oh, what was it? Was it Island Adventure or something? It was something to do with Island again. And it was the one that introduced the mermaids and stuff like that. But I think you can actually dive in the ocean and actually see the underneath the ocean with your sim, in a way. That would have been cool. That definitely would have been cool to see, at least on the more shallower parts, if you could have went down there with them in a way and seen that, and seen, like, some of the ocean life living on the bottom, like starfish and different algae and, like, the coral reefs and stuff like that, if you could have seen them a little bit better. Are sharks a thing in island living? I feel like I've heard that it was a thing, but I have never seen it, ever. I've had YouTubers that I've watched mention that they thought it was a thing, but then I never see them while they play in Sulani ever have an incident with a shark. I've never had an incident with a shark. Is it a thing? Like, someone legit tell me, is it a thing? If it's not, it should be. And if it actually is a thing, maybe it should happen a little bit more. Or at least see it in the distance. Like, I get, like, it may be something that's potentially deadly to your Sims. I don't know. I don't know if your Sims can die from a shark, or if they even exist in island living. But I get that if they do exist and they can kill your Sims, that, you know, people really wouldn't want the chance of Sims dying to be that much higher. But let's be honest, that is the one thing in this game that I feel like is so hard to do. I feel like every time there's something that can kill a Sim, after it gets released or something, it gets altered to where it doesn't happen nearly as much. Like, I remember the Murphy beds did a pretty good job at it, but now it almost never happens. The cow plant, they have to eat the cake twice within, like, a 24-48 hour period, and your Sims never want to on free will do it. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna say that, well, I mean, let's face it, we've all put our Sims in the ladder in a pool and took away the ladder sort of situation. Everyone's done that at some point in time. We can't lie to ourselves. But when it comes to, like, me trying to play a full family gameplay or whatever, I don't necessarily want my Sims dying all over the place. But I also wish there was a higher chance of it, so that there was more drama and more, like, risk to when it came to certain things. But I feel like there's no risk at all. So it wouldn't surprise me if the shark actually, like, you know, does exist. And I'm just not seeing it because it's been basically nerfed to never kill Sims. But I would like my Sims to have to live on the edge more often. Come on. What's fun without a little bit of risk? It also adds, like, story progression and challenges and drama. Like, just let it happen. Just let it happen. Turn the free will back on for the cow plants. There's still a chance that your Sim won't choose to eat the cake, but allow it to be a chance. Just a little bit. But yeah, so I would like more things in the ocean to do. I would like... There just seems like build and buy was partially lacking. What items are there are beautiful. Like, the pack overall is a beautiful visually. But it's so weak in gameplay, in my opinion. And the mermaids disappointed me so much. I wish there was so much more that mermaids could do. And there's like implied that there's supposed to be like good mermaids and bad mermaids, but there's nothing to really do to distinct the two at all. Like, I want a siren and a mermaid. I want, even though sirens technically were not mermaid creatures, they've been evolved to look like mermaid creatures through storytelling and stuff. I want a mermaid that can sing and lure people to the doom. Like, come on, let me have that. Or sing and let people get happy. Like, they get a moodlet from hearing a beautiful mermaid's voice. Like, they have abilities, but it's not really that much at all. I just feel like the mermaid's really lacking. Like, out of all the occults that exist in the game, unless you're counting, like, the skeletons that they can temporarily turn into, or the plant sims that they can temporarily turn to, but the actual occults that you can make in Create a Sim, mermaids are the ones that are lacking the most. More than the aliens, more than the spellcasters. Like, there's just so much more that could have been done, and I wish there was. So that is the one. The mermaids is the huge thing for me, but then the gameplay also is there. I just wish there was more than just a visual prettiness of this pack, since it was an expansion pack. So yeah, would like for that one to get a refresh. Now, I think in a way there's a lot of other ones, there's a lot of other expansions packs, and a lot of other game packs that could technically get a refresh. And especially when you look at, like, the newest game pack, which is Dream Home Decorator, or the newest expansion pack, Cottage Living. And even though I don't want to see stuff packs get a refresh, I can even argue, look at Paranormal Stuff Pack. These are the 3 most recent packs in each of those categories. And when you compare them to their previous, like the very first one, so Luxury Party, Outdoor Retreat, Get to Work, there is so much more that the newer packs have to offer, and it seems like they have a lot more to them. They're more fleshed out than the first ones that came into this thing, like, into the game. So I feel like as they go along, it seems like they get a little bit beefier as they go along. So yeah, arguably, a lot of the earlier ones could use a refresh. I just don't know, like, Outdoor Retreat, I was like, it is the oldest game pack, and I admit I don't use it too much. But right away, I can't think of too much more that I personally would add to it. That I would, or at least that I would be stressed about adding to it, over fixing, like, Dine Out and Realm of Magic and Parenthood. So, and then I did actually include Get to Work, so I did put the first expansion pack. But, like, even Get Together, City Living, Cats and Dogs, like, there's Cats and Dogs I was highly considering adding and talking about, but I decided not to. Maybe we can go further in depth and talk about all the other ones and maybe refreshes that they could potentially have. If we were to talk about all of them getting a refresh, do I think all the packs are going to get a refresh? No. Especially not the newer ones. Realm of Magic is pretty new, so that's sort of a stretch for it getting a refresh, but at the same time, I think a lot of people think that it does need a refresh. I think a lot of people think the spellcasters did not have as much to them as they wished, and I definitely agree. So yeah, maybe if that's a thing that you'd like to see, maybe we can actually go through all the packs and talk about maybe stuff that they could potentially refresh with them. I am okay with doing that. But let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts are on the 5 that I talked about refreshing today. Do you agree that those ones really need a refresh, and the things that I mentioned are those things that you definitely like to see added in the refresh and done in the refresh? And if there is a particular pack that you think deserves a refresh more than those, let me know down in the comments below and why you think that pack really needs a refresh over some of the other ones. And again, let me know if you'd like me to actually go through and talk about some of the other ones. So, talk about Outdoor Retreat, Vampires, Jungle Adventure, Strangerville, Get Together, City Living, Cats and Dogs, Seasons, you know, go on through the whole list there. So, if you would like for us to have that sort of discussion and sort of talk about giving the other packs refreshes, what potentially would need to happen in a refresh if they got them. So yeah, let me know down in the comments below if you'd like to see that. And even if you want to talk about the stuff packs, are there any stuff packs that you actually think do need a refresh? Or do you care enough about the small stuff packs getting a refresh? I wouldn't necessarily care. Maybe if I look deeply into some of them and like sort of fooled with them, maybe I could think of a refresh that could happen to them, but they are a little bit on the smaller side, that, you know, I'm like, eh. One of them I could think of would be Tiny Livin', because I feel like some of the objects to Tiny Livin' didn't actually help with the whole Tiny Livin' thing. I wish there was like a sink toilet combo, for instance, and stuff like that. But otherwise, there's not a whole lot that I think of refreshing or adding to them. There's probably like one or two things I can think of them for them, but not nearly as much as the game packs and the stuff packs, obviously. So yeah, but if you would still be interested in talking about the stuff packs, we could also do that. Or if there is a stuff pack that you really think needs refreshed, let me know down in the comments below. I'm just telling you to tell me everything in the comments below. Go ahead and spiel out your whole life story if you want to. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, hit that lovely like button, subscribe. You know all that lovely YouTube goodiness. I know I didn't talk about any like the little extra stuff that maybe could be updated in a free update or whatever. But I sort of was talking for a very long time. My throat is actually getting sort of sore, so I think I'm going to save that for another day, or maybe just talk about it every once in a while in some of my videos where I do Sims gameplay or whatever. So yeah, I've probably talked about some of it throughout my gameplay anyway. So yeah, feel free to watch any of my series going on the channel. Sims is my main thing, but technically I do play other games. Every once in a while, I'm trying to get Fire Emblem started, but haven't got there yet. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next one, but until then, bye-bye!